where you're going, here's a place where you can take comfort in the knowing that whether if you come to stay a while or just pass it through, this door is open to you. Come and let's be silent. Come and share a hug. Come, let's play together. Come, love and be loved. From the bliss out to the turned out, to the panther, to the abused, this door is open to you. Say, come on in, come on in. God in us recognizes the God in you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian and a Jew, this door is open to you.
This door is open to you because this is God's door, and God's door is always open to you, to each and every one of you. It's marvelous. This God, this hour, the Spirit, whatever we call it, this powerful energy that has created everything out of itself and created everything for its creation. It's all here. It's overwhelming. It's so wonderful. There's wealth and happiness and joy and peace and calmness. You know what, though? There is a hitch. We have to turn to God because otherwise it passes by us. We have to turn to God and say, yes, I'm here, God. I'm willing. I'm ready to accept all my good. And so that's what we're saying here by our very presence here this day. Whether you're in the sanctuary or live on Facebook, you are saying yes to your good. Bring it on, God. And so we are open and receptive, and it happens now. And so it is.
And so it is. Mary Russell, our practitioner of the day. And so it is. Our good is here. Yes, absolutely. Oops. Okay. Is that going to happen again? No. That's very strange. I'll turn me off. Turn me on. Hi, everybody. Hi.
Morning.
Thanks for your patience. 1 second. We're going to do sound check on me every Sunday morning now. Okay, there we go. All right. Good morning. I'm Reverend Katherine Economou. And I'm not making us all hurt our ears. All right. So it's my joy to welcome you here this morning to the Center for Spiritual Living Temecula Valley. We're so glad that you're with us. We're so glad you're in the room. We're so glad you're in our virtual room for those who are joining online. And, it's a great day to celebrate. It's a great day to come together to remember the truth. And I'm very excited about where we're moving, what's coming forward in our theme for the month. And I'm not going to jump into it that quick because I want to start with just appreciation for the fact that we are moving through this challenging time that we've had at CSLTV together. And I want to start with gratitude today, even before we get to our moment of gratitude, for our team who has held on and gotten us to this point. And the first person I want to thank is our administrator, Cecilia Birch. Can we just give some love to Cecilia Birch? Thank you. Yes. I just want to call her forward and just say thank you. Yes, you get to be online today. So, Cecilia's new, she's new. And she's not that new, but she's in the position for the last number of months. And she started the position, and then a month later, we had to go virtual again. And so I feel like we need to mark this moment coming back into person together, and I just want to have a moment of gratitude for Cecilia. So. All right, so CSLTV is an intentional spiritual community that comes together to remember that no matter what's going on in the world, what we're experiencing in our life, that there's a divine presence that is guiding, supporting, and loving us right where we are. that we forget because we're looking too far outside to be saved, to be supported, to be helped. And the truth is that all of the wisdom and the guidance that we need is right where we are. And so that's why we're here, to remember that on Sunday. And that's why we come together during the week in our groups and our classes, so that we can remember. It's like jumping from lily pad to lily pad of remembering that we are supported by the divine. And so that's my best wish for us, is that when we leave here on Sunday, that we are so filled from the music and the prayers and the message, that we are so filled that we remember that we're not alone. So on Monday morning, when you get that call from your boss, I'm just kidding, that's not going to happen. Or when when something hits your experience, that it's not a default to fear, to worry, to stress, to strain. It's to, I'm standing in the presence of the one that's got my back. And so on Sundays, we come together to remember the fact that God has our backs. And we're going to celebrate that today. And so with that, we're going to start by singing about it. So I think we've got a song.
Yes, we
Can
do.
you stand on up?
Love it when you Yes. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking in the road of heaven right now, singing. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing love today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing. I'm choosing love today. Grace. I'm choosing grace today. I'm choosing grace today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing. I'm choosing grace today. Everyone, one more time. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing. I'm choosing heaven today.
And so as we move into our time of spiritual practice together, I'm going to invite you to just get comfortable in your chair here for a moment. Take a breath. And allow yourself to sink into the center of your being. Just resting here in this moment. And what I would love for you to do is to allow your heart to reveal one person who was in service and support of you this week. Someone who showed up. Maybe it's your beloved who brought you a cup of tea first thing in the morning, or a friend who helped you out when you were in a jam, something came up, a coworker, a family member. Just think of someone who did something special for you this week. And let that feeling of gratitude rise in your heart. Just allow yourself to have a moment with them in your own mind, in your own heart, and express your gratitude to them. You know, there is only one mind, and as we connect in our minds and share our love through that one mind, that person will feel it. You don't ever need to even tell them. You could, but you don't need to tell them. You could actually just be a presence of love and gratitude for them. And then I want you to just pause for a moment and think of one thing that you've done for yourself this week. Something you did. Something you did for you. And even if you didn't do anything to care for yourself the way you think you should, in this moment, I want you to be grateful for yourself. And that's enough. Just share a little bit of gratitude in your heart for the quirky, unique expression of life that you are. Just wrapping yourself in love. Just for a moment. one more nice, full, deep breath. Just ground in this feeling in this moment. And when you're ready, coming on back. A small little practice, just like that. Giving yourself a little bit of appreciation is going to shift big things in your life. So I encourage you to continue to do this every day. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Mary for our reading for the day.
Our spiritual reading for today is from the book for June, The Gift of Change, a spiritual guidance for living your best life by Mary Ann Williamson. Life as we know it is passing away and something new is emerging to take its place. We all know that. All of us are playing a part in a larger transformative process as each of us is being forced to confront whatever it is we do or even think that keeps love at bay. For as we block love's power to change our lives, we block its power to change the world. Humanity is moving forward now, though in some ways we are doing so kicking and screaming. Nature seems to be saying to all of us, okay, it's time. No more playing around. Become the person you were meant to be. We would like to, but it's hard. The problem of the world today seems larger than they ever seemed before, making it easy to succumb to cynicism, fear, hopelessness, and despair, until, that is, we remember who we are. For who we are is really a power bigger than all our problems, both personal and collective. And when we have remembered who we are, our problems, which are literally nothing other than manifestations of forgetfulness, will disappear. As we release the fear-based thoughts we've been taught to think by a frightening world, we see God's truth revealed, and we might become the agents of miraculous change. And so it is.
So it is.
You can be amazing, you can turn a phrase into a weapon or a drug. You can be the outcast or be the backlash of somebody's lack of love. Or you can start speaking up. Nothing's gonna hurt you the way the words do when they suddenly leave your skin. Kept on the inside, no sunlight, sometimes the shadows win. I wonder what would happen if you say what you want to say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I want to see you be brave. What you want to say and let the
that felt good. Let's do that again. Nice big breath. Okay, so it's the beginning of June, and I'll just even call it, it's my birthday. I never thought I'd be the kind of person who'd walk into a room of people and say, hey, it's my birthday, but you know what? After what I've been through in my life, I celebrate them. I celebrate them big. I celebrate everybody's birthday big. I'll celebrate your birthday big. Don't worry. Just ask my family. I go crazy for people's birthdays. And I think that it's important. And so I'm actually even going to say, I am 51 years old. That's funny. I was told after 50 you say you're 39. And I'm like, no way. I'm claiming every wrinkle, every step, every experience I get to have in this life. I'm going to claim it. I'm going to celebrate it. And we're going to celebrate it together. So here we are. Okay, thank you. So today we're starting a new theme. And I have deviated a little bit in what the theme for the year is, as we've been, as I've been feeling what's going on and looking forward to what's unfolding before us. And so here in the middle of this year, where we're looking at everyday wonder, right? The theme for the year is everyday wonder. And my goal is for us to train ourselves in every day to find something that brings awe and magic to your experience. Even something as simple as watching a pack of butterflies take off a lantana bush. Have you ever seen that? A number of them take, it's like magic, right? Like there's little sweet little moments of awe in each of our days. But we get so trained to be focused on what we got to get done and what's wrong with our lives and how we go forward and all that we forget to be present to the magic that's there. So this whole entire year is about finding everyday wonder. But in the middle of this, with everything that's been going on out in the world and everything that's been happening, what's been coming to me in my meditations is that we need to talk about change. Sorry. But we do. We need to talk about change because we are standing in the middle of a moment of great change in the world. We are standing in the middle of a moment of great change. That something is emerging and has been trying to emerge for a long time, and we are standing in the middle of that moment. And most of us are pretending that we're trying to just get back to how it was before. I just want my life to be smooth and soft and easy and all great. And I like complaining about the things I complained about before. That's okay. I can handle that complaining. I can handle that bad stuff, but this bad stuff is really bad. I don't want to deal with that, right? But the idea is that we need to move through this new experience to allow what wants to emerge. So what we've been praying for years is happening. I want to remind you, what we've been praying for, how long was that song, The Age of Aquarius? How long ago was that? I think that was a whole Joanna Pearl ago. At least. And knows, you know, so we've been praying that long for this emergence and change, and now we're all like, can we go have it how it was before? No, that was nice, you know, no. There is magic and awe, and the mystical nature of change feeds us, it nurtures us, and it takes us where we need to go. And so, yes, everybody take another breath. We're going to be in for a month of change. But it's a good thing. It's a good thing because we get to open to what wants to come forward through us. So my talk today is the call of the heart. And I think it's important in times like these that we remember that taking the time to connect through the heart and not just through our head is important. Because most of us engage with the world and engage with life and everything that's happening from our heads, where we try to understand it and we analyze it and we cut it apart, we try and take care of it and we figure it out, right? But that says nothing about the nature of who you are. That says nothing about the divine unfolding path of your soul. That says nothing when we engage with the world and make our choices of what's possible for us from that alone, that place alone of the head, we are missing all of the passion and the joy and the juiciness and the richness of life itself. We need to learn to engage with our hearts as much as we engage with our heads when we are moving forward. And so today, my talk is the call of the heart. Because how often often, and the question is, how often do you really heed the call of your heart? How often do you even pause long enough to listen to what your heart's wanting? We might know that I'm wanting something. You might know that, as we are coming off, look, I'm linking the months together. As we're coming off our conversation about emotions last month and moving into this, you might have a sense that there's something missing. Maybe you're feeling a little bit more lonely. Maybe you're feeling stifled in your work or your expression. Maybe you're just not feeling seen in your relationships. Maybe so there's something that you're desiring. There's something more that you're wanting. But so many of us get just to the place where we don't feel good and we stop there. The problem is I feel alone. The problem is I feel stifled. The problem is I feel this. And then we don't know what to do with that, and we just live limited. Well, okay, I got to try and find my joy. I got to try and find where I can be seen. I have to try and find how that is. And we start manipulating our outside life to try and get that experience that we want. And that leads to all those addictions that we've been talking about, the addictions of trying to fill the hole, whether it's food or sex or alcohol or shopping or TV, whatever it is, right? Like we just try and fill that hole, but it doesn't take care of the issue, which is I'm not feeling fully expressed. Instead of finding a new way to express or a new way to connect, we're just trying to stop feeling bad. And so when we listen to our hearts, we have to listen deeper. We have to slow down enough to listen to really what is being called forth. We have to be courageous enough to face ourselves so clearly with that eye of compassion and love, and be that nurturing presence that we wish we all had in those moments when we're hurting. So our hearts end up being a spiritual compass for us if we allow them to be. And I want us to remember that when we're in times of navigating great change, we need a spiritual compass to keep us on track. And so when we allow ourselves to feel what we're feeling in our hearts, when we allow ourselves to sink into that understanding that there's something greater calling us forward, the paths begin to open. And so the idea is that in times of great change, what we want to do is we want to fix our eyes on those things that don't change. In times when the world seems to be rocking and rolling and our lives seem to be moving in directions that we didn't plan for, what we need to do is to fix ourselves and connect to what we believe and those things that are eternal. And so it's the things of the Spirit. It helps us stay steady and focused. When we are doing our spiritual practice, when we are communing with the one, and if you've been in class with me or if you've been around me for any amount of time, you know that what that means is to feel it. Can you feel your connection to something greater? So in your meditation time, whatever kind of spiritual practice you do, maybe it's doing art. Maybe it's creating art where you feel the Spirit the most. Maybe it's singing or writing. Maybe it's spirit walks, walking intentionally with your feet in the grass. Maybe it's hugging a tree. Maybe it's sitting silently in meditation. But in those moments when we're communing with the one, when you feel it, it helps us stay steady and focused no matter what's happening in our day-to-day lives. It reminds us of our connection and that we are all children of the divine and that we are here on purpose. You are not an accident. You never have been. You never will be. You are on purpose and needed. If you're here in this life at this time, you're needed by this life at this time. And it gives us strength to endure negative changes and the capacity to step into being what we want to be, which is a healing presence in the world. We are being called to be a healing presence in the world. And so we are always at choice as to how we navigate this life. We are. And you know what? We can live in our minds and judge the world and complain about it and deal with the effect of that, the cause and effect of that. We have a choice and we can do that. I personally think that that's a little bit of a rockier road to walk, and that's not necessarily the most comfortable and fulfilling way to live our lives. But we're at choice. So if I stay at the effect, so when I am at the effect of the problem, I become part of the problem. Which means moving into victim consciousness, to blame, to judgment. You know, I end up becoming more, if all I'm doing is complaining about it, all I'm doing is gathering more energy, creating more energy to complain about, right? But when I move into that place of being centered within myself, when I connect to the divine, when I know that something greater is operating in this situation, I become part of the solution. Because I move into that place of being open to the divine guidance and inspiration. Because let me tell you, in any situation, I can say in any situation I've experienced in my life, I have not thought my way out of it. Okay, and I think I'm a pretty intelligent person. Right? I have never thought my way out of any challenge, but I have been inspired with a new thought that popped into my head somehow, or showed up, wow, look at that. Oh, who thought that? I didn't. It felt like it's been planted in me, in my consciousness. Have you had that experience? Right? So that's when we become part of the solution. When we're hit with a challenge, when we're hit with a difficulty, when we're hit with something that we didn't see coming. The thing is not to sit down and try and figure out, okay, how do I fix this problem? It's to go to God. Whatever that is to you, the God of your heart. That presence that loves you, that speaks to you, that wants the best for you. And so then you can see is if we can train people to do this, right? If we can train people to move into that space of opening to possibility, and we get a big group of people doing that together, that's how we're going to change the world. Instead of going into that victim blame, it's your fault, because what that does is that cuts us off from each other and it separates us. But when we move into that place of being open to solutions, how can this be better? But I don't want it just better for me, I want it better for you. I want it better for all of us. You can see how that's an opening, that's a gathering energy, and it moves us into a new way of being. It's a simple shift. It's not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. But that could make a huge difference in the experience of the world. When things in the world are troubling, our need is not to join in the chaos, but to cleave to the peace that lives within. We need to be able to stand in that eye of the storm and say, I am here. I'm standing on the rock of my faith of knowing God right where I am. And let life move around us, but we are standing strong and firm because we have that power backing us up. We are each connected to the divine like a cosmic umbilical cord. And through this connection, we receive our spiritual nourishment from God every moment. We can receive our nourishment from God every moment. But most of us ignore that. Most of us have let that channel of guidance and inspiration get really weak. We don't listen to it. We don't put much attention on it. Because we have these things called eyes, and most of the time they're open, and except sometimes when I'm speaking. Just kidding. And then we're looking out into the world, and we believe what we see more than what we know. And so what happens is that we allow ourselves to be limited like the world is limited. We don't take that divine inspiration and nourishment that's there for us. Instead, we tend toward the fast food version of the nourishment and inspiration of the world. Think about that. The 24/7 news cycle. Constantly bombarding us. Constantly. The screens that we live on. Big screens and little screens and other screens. Screens. That we've got more screens. Even at the gas station now. I'm like, can you turn the screens off at the gas station, please? I really don't need to watch TV while I'm pumping my gas. I really don't. I could be outside for a moment, turn my head away to get fresh air, right? I don't need a screen there. But so we are bombarded constantly from the messages of the world. So where are you taking your spiritual nourishment from the divine? Or are you taking it from the world? because that's a very different way of being. It's poison. It's the poison of the world. So the only way to gain power in a world that's moving too fast is to learn how to slow down. The way to spread our influence is to learn how to go deep. The world we're trying to create will emerge from spiritual stillness that takes root within our souls. We will create a world based in the heart rather than created to break them, right? Let's create a world based from the heart, not created intended to break our hearts. That's what I see. That's what I want for all of us. And so the idea, again, is where do we have the balance of living from our heads and our hearts? We have to admit, most of us live from our heads, but we have to put the attention to build the muscles of our heart so that we can find that balance. Because again, when we live from our heads, we're cutting things apart, we're judging it, we're analyzing it, we're separating it to make sense of it, and trying to figure out how it can fit in our life. Getting that round peg in a square hole, I gotta figure out how to get it in there. But when we're balanced with our heart space, what the heart does is the heart connects. The heart gathers. The heart allows and respects. The heart loves and is in passion and excitement. So we need both. We can't live one or the other, right? We need both. I'm not saying throw all facts out. I am not that person because I believe in science and facts are important. But we have to balance everything out with checking in with the heart. Is this right for me right now? Is this choice right for me right now? Is it just the head? Or you can't make a decision for your wholeness, for your joy, for your fullness, if you're just connected to that. Because your soul is so much more complex and greater and broader than just your head. And the fulfillment of your life comes from your soul being fully expressed. Your fulfillment and joy in life comes from how you show up in your fullness, not denying part of you, not letting, those intuitive messages that we're getting just float away. We are called to develop that intuition. So intuition is our way of knowing, right? It's knowing without knowing how you know. It's that deep movement of inspiration that says, turn right, even though you're going left. We all have those messages. We all have intuition speaking to us. That's the divine in you. That's that guidance system. But how often do we listen to it? Do we heed it? Do we allow it? Because you know what? Sometimes the intuition is going to tell you to do something that you think is crazy. I would never do that. I could never go that direction. I couldn't make that choice. But in my 25 years of doing this work and working with people, every time someone has followed their heart rather than their head, I can tell you that they have found great joy and fulfillment. When they have followed their own messages from their hearts, even if it sounds crazy. Change your career and move to Alaska. That was one of them. I was like, what? You're what? You're moving? Wait. And she's like, and I'm going to go next week. I was like, next week? Wait, what? Huh? Oh. And she worked for me at the time. And I was like, 1 week notice? Okay. But I supported her. And really? Joyful. Stepped in perfect timing into this position. Ended up meeting the man of her dreams as kids running around in the snow in Alaska. Like, okay, great. Wow, amazing. But time after time, and some of this, and I have also seen the opposite when they have been afraid to take the step. And their joy, they get there eventually, but every time they get a little closer, and then they get there, right? They still get there to the joy, but it takes them a lot longer. And if they had just said yes in the first place when they got the message that it's time to take the step. So Ernest Holmes says that Ernest Holmes is the founder of religious science, and he says this: there is an intuition within you which already knows that you are one with good, that your destiny is certain, and you must listen to this intuition, for it's the voice of God in you. So what are we listening to? What are you listening to? It's easy to have our focus on the world through our eyes outward. But can you trust that the divine has the highest in store for you? That the divine wants the best for you, and that you can sink into its message and you can listen to it. I'm famous for saying that God doesn't speak English. I got in trouble for that a couple of times. God doesn't speak English. God speaks to us in feeling and in knowing. And God doesn't want you to live small and pull back from life and live small. And I guess I wanted to pause there for a second just to clarify what I mean by God wants you to live large. Now, God doesn't want everybody to be Madonna or Lady Gaga or whatever. When I say I want you to live large, it doesn't mean I want you to be famous. That I think you need to try and be like a superstar or anything. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, can you allow yourself to do those things that you want to do? Can you allow yourselves to try and move forward in a way that allows you to engage in life without holding yourself back? What are those ways that you're not speaking when you know it's time for you to use your voice? Or not stepping in to allow yourself to be vulnerable in a group, to show up in a new way. What I mean by living large is I want you to be fully engaged in your life, immersed in it, engaged with it, and allow yourself to try all those things that you always thought you wanted to do. What have you been holding back? Why have you been letting yourself live smaller? It's about allowing yourself the space to know that you are worthy and you are worth showing up and allowing yourself to be seen and acknowledged. And I want to remind you, this came to me this week too, that for all of us parents and grandparents in the room, you know that because we are birthing something new. I'm loving my foundations class, and my foundations class this term is just so fun. It's all on Zoom, which is a little strange for me, but I love that we're going back through this material in this moment. And I was reminding them last week that I want us to think about things in terms of what's trying to be born in this. Because in every experience that we're having, something is trying to be born in it. Something is trying to come forward. So when you have a fight with your partner, a little bit more compassion and understanding is trying to be born out of that fight. And can we allow ourselves to let it come forward in us? And so the idea here is that we're trying to see what's wanting to be born in this moment in time, in our own lives and in the collective. Can we allow what wants to be born in this time to come forward? So maybe it is a little bit more compassion for one another. Maybe it is a little bit more understanding of the choices that people are making. There's not a right and a wrong side. There really isn't. Why are we fighting against whatever it is we're fighting against? Can we allow the deeper knowledge, that greater understanding that's going to support us in being better partners in this life? That's what's wanting to be born in this. But can we pause long enough to listen and get its messages? Because we never know when we'll be called in a new direction, to move forward in a new way. And we must be present enough to heed the call and trust the divine as we take that step. You know, the other reason why I used the call of the heart as my talk title today is that today is graduation Sunday down at Seaside. Charlene Kusner is graduating. We're celebrating her today. And previous to this position, I was the Dean of the Holmes Institute at San Diego's campus. So I had this job for 8 years, and that job for 8 or 9 years, and it was a great job. I supported 72 ministers in becoming ministers from the moment they walked in the door to the day they stepped through to their pulpits. I'm very proud there's a big percentage of them that are still in ministry, and they're all doing great things across the world, and I'm just very proud of it. But when I was the dean a number of years back, and it was a good gig, I had it dialed in. It was a really good gig. I liked the job. I loved working with the people. It was great. But all of a sudden, there was this little stirring in me that I woke up with one day, and I was like, wait, what's that? What's happening here? I love my job. I love my life. I love what's happening. And I was ignoring it for a while. And then it kept coming back, and it kept coming back. And this is what God does, is it needles you a little bit, it pokes you. Hey, you should think about this. And you're like, yeah, whatever, I'm too busy. And then it shakes you a little bit. And then what happens is it picks you up by the scruff of the neck and drops you in this place where you can see that it's time to take a step. And what I realized through this period of time, it was about a 6-month period of time for me, that I was being called in a new direction. Every day in my meditation, I was hearing, take a step. And I was seeing, I hate to say this, at the time I was seeing balloons, hot air balloons, which is so funny, because we're sitting here on balloon weekend, right? And so how that ended up for me was that I was called out of my position and into a new one here. And it was a wild step. It felt like a blink. I mean, it was a number of months, but it felt like a blink, because all of a sudden I was like, wait a minute, I'm the dean, and I'm not the dean anymore. And I started here. And so a number of months ago, this year, I've had the same feeling coming up again. And there's been this strange little nudge that's going on. And it has become clear that it's time to take another step. And so due to a little bit of a change in my health status, but also this understanding that I'm being called in a new direction. And so after 8.5 years, I'll be stepping down as a senior minister of CSLTV at the end of the month. And I'm so sorry to have to announce that, but this is the nature of change. And it's really hard because we have all these new people who are coming in that I adore, that I love, and I was really excited to work with. And then we've got all of this new chapter of the church that's happening, and I can see how it's going to, CSLTV is just ready to move forward and expand and get back in the swing of doing its great work in the world. And at the same time, I'm feeling like I'm really realizing that it's not mine to do. And it's hard, and it's challenging, and it's difficult. And I forgot what I was going to say about it. And I want you to know that this has come from, so there's a couple of components to it, and yes, it was, the impetus of it is a little bit of a change in my health status, but I'm fine. Everybody knows that I am a metastatic cancer patient, but I am fine, and it's just, this is the time to put my healing first. And this is the time to put my health and my well-being first. And we, after a lot of prayer and conversation with my family, we talked about, can I take a leave of absence for a certain amount of time? Can we do it? And it just didn't feel right to hold the church back while I'm still trying to do my thing. And so the very difficult decision for my family, this has become our family. This church is our home. And it's going to be hard for us. But what I want you to know is this, is that I know that CSLTV is fine and it will be cared for. I can't announce exactly, but I do know that we have an interim minister whom we love, who's amazing, who will be coming in and starting next month. And for a period of time, the interim minister will be here for a period of 3 to 6 months as the church gets ready to do the process, they call it candidating, to call in the next right, perfect minister. And the blessing that I have is that I know that they can't go wrong. First of all, the person who's coming in is going to be phenomenal. And secondly, I know that the consciousness of this community is going to call in that right next person who's going to be able to get to all those things that we visioned for and we set the foundation and the groundwork for, and the church is going to be able to take that next step. And I'm going to be over the hill. I'm not going anywhere. We're not moving. I still live here. I'll see you at the mall at Costco. If you come to the Montserrat Winery, the bottom of my street, give me a call, I'll come down and have a glass of wine with you. Okay, so, but there's, we're not going anywhere, but I will be stepping out of the community. And so I'm sorry. It's not easy. And but I know it's right. Not just for me, but for all of us. And so my request is that you come this month. Come on, friends, this month. So we have, my last Sunday will be the last Sunday in June. And I would love to have everyone come and I'm putting together this month of messages that are things that I really would love from my heart for you to know. The core of my message. So that we can walk through this transition, this time together, and share this magic that we've had for these last 8.5 years. And celebrate that next evolution. Because life is so big, it's the fullness of all of it, right? There's joy and there's sadness, there's excitement and anticipation and fear and worry and everything in between. And what I know is the gift of spiritual community is that we can walk through these things together. And so please just know that I love you. And I would make a different choice if I could. But I know, and I'm really excited for the possibilities for all of us. And so I'm heeding the call of my heart, and I invite you to heed the call of your heart. And let us come together and just celebrate this next evolution. And know that we have been blessed being together, and we continue to be blessed because God's not going to let us go. God's got our back. And so it is. I'm going to invite our music team to come on back.
I just wanted to say that thank you for being brave.
come forward and say thank you to all of our volunteers. Thank you to everyone who has continued to support the community. As we once again vision for who we want to be in the world. So I invite you to take that offering and place it upon your heart and let us breathe our light and our love into it, knowing that we are each sourced and supported from on high. And the infinite one, that divine source of abundance that is God, is right where we are. And that we have all that we need and more for the fullest experience of this life. And so I know that this offering goes forth to that which we want to see grow and expand, to that place where we are spiritually fed and nourished and inspired, to allow for this light that is CSLTV, this light of the signs of mind, of knowing, of love itself, to shine brightly out into the world through all that we are and all that we do. And so I bless it, I give thanks for it, and simply allow it to be. And so it is. So please join me in saying our affirmation of abundance. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am prosperous now. Yes.
Right. And I hear you singing. Ready? God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Joy is my source. Joy is my power. Joy gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Joy gives me everything I need.
All right, so I have some announcements for us. So today is the graduation of ministers at Seaside Center for Spiritual Living at 4 p.m. We're going down and celebrating Charlene Kusner. Our Gourmets for God program. Okay, this is it. We've got one more week. We're trying to get this all set, and so there's a table set up outside with information. I've been talking about it over the last couple of months that we are getting ready for it. It's our great big fun fundraiser, and this is the time to take one of those forms and reach out to us if you're considering hosting a party. We're collecting different donations of parties. We're going to put together a booklet and have a silent auction through the next month. And so June 12th is the last Sunday that we're going to collect parties. And so whether you want to have people are going to a baseball game, we're doing a movie night, Italian dinner, a tea, whatever it is, if you'd like to talk to someone at the table, we are collecting the donations of the parties so that we can put together our silent auction. So I encourage you to talk to Bonnie at the table today. Thank you. Thanks for waiting, everybody. Okay, so our Science of Mind book study is reading The Secret Wisdom of Nature. They meet on Wednesdays at 10 a.m. on Zoom. And so if you'd like to join the book study, our practitioners, Ann Woodward and Julie Mims, run that. Our men's ministry meets on Wednesdays in person and on Zoom every other week. And our Sisters in Spirit has a breakfast on the third Thursday of the month at Journey Restaurant. The Gifts of Spirit has changed their meeting date to the second Monday of the month. And so that is June 13th, this month. And you would contact practitioner Ann Woodward for more information about that. Do we know about a hike? Can I ask? What's the next hike?
Next Saturday.
Okay, our next hike is next Saturday, 9 a.m. at the Preserve. Okay, there'll be an email going out this week about it, and we'll get our hikes, make sure we have the information clear as to when they're going to be, and they'll be on the website and on our Facebook. So next Saturday, 9 a.m. at the Preserve, watch your emails. And that's another thing, if you have not been getting our weekly emails, please sign the guest book so we can make sure we've got you on our MailChimp so that you get the information as things are coming out. Morning meditations. So I've been leading the morning meditation since January. We've done a series of 40 days series. So what I decided to do is I'm going to extend our 40-day meditation is going to end on Friday. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend that to the end of June. So the last thing I'm going to do on the last day of June is we're going to do our morning meditation together. And so I'll be talking to the group there. But if you would like to join, if you haven't been on our morning meditations and you'd like to, we get on at 7:30 for 15 minutes. I do a reading and we do a little bit of time in silence and I pray us out, and it's a great way to start the day. So if you would like to join that, the information is on our website or in the chat on the Facebook. You can sign up for that. And that's what I've got. Absolutely. So the last thing is this. There are, with this transition and things that are happening, there's a couple of positions open for volunteers and support. So we are looking for someone to help with PowerPoint on Sunday mornings. We're looking to, and we're going to be hiring someone to run our live stream. So if you know someone who's technologically, it doesn't need to be like crazy technologically advanced, but has a little bit of, let's say you can use your phone. Let's say you can use your phone. Okay, that's the level that you need, and you would like to make a little extra money. Come on and talk to me about it, and we're looking for someone. Or if you have a grandson who's a teenager who you want to get to come to church every week, that's a really good way to get them a little job and get them here, and that would be great. So we have some volunteer support for the office also coming up. So if you are available, or please let Cecilia know, please let me know. And over the next couple of weeks, we're going to have a few more things that will be happening, that will be opening. And the last thing is this: I want to remind you that our practitioners are here for you, especially today. So we've got some chairs set up outside, and they're there. If you've got a lot of emotion coming up, please sit with a practitioner and ask for prayer. You can fill out a prayer request and put it in the box that's out on the welcome table, and it goes out to all the practitioners. And what I want you to know is I just want this month to be filled with love. I just want our Sundays to be times of celebration and honoring the time we've had together, and knowing that this isn't really a goodbye forever. It's not like it's just and moving into new ways. And that's what I want to celebrate for me, and I want to celebrate for each of us together. So with that, we're going to move into prayer. So let's just come together here and take a breath. Just knowing that we are each part of this divine life, that there is one life and one light and one truth. And it reveals itself in all and as all, and it's here in this moment, in this time. I know God, and its power, and its presence, and its truth, and its light. It is part of my life. It is a part of each and every one of us. And it is the life of this spiritual community. And so I know that there is only love here. And that infinite divine source of life itself inspires each of us in leaning in, and stepping forward and listening to that divine call of the heart to allow for Spirit to guide us through change and transition. And so I bless this day. I bless this time together in this service. I bless each and every one of us as we move out into this day, into this life, knowing that we are each beacons of light, of love, and of peace, allowing for this new life, what's wanting to be birthed, to come forward fully, freely, completely, with light, with joy, and with love. And so with a grateful heart, I simply allow it to be. And so it is.
There was a time in my life I thought I had to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was here. But now I can say